With some real-side assignments and projects I am involved with, not always is it made apparent to the personal self as to the precise specifics. Some details may be omitted. On occasion, little, if anything, is afforded the personal self. On this occasion, it was as though a few visuals would be provided, simulation corresponding to what was transpiring, though with the simulation alone being as nonsensical as it was in places for the personal self, so only through the real awareness impressions could the overall sense of the experience be unveiled. For the real awareness that we all actually are is part of the everything isness a true reality, a real awareness reality that animates through all consciousness effecting form and feature, that renders everything transpiring in creation, all the ideas that effect its multi-dimensional design, not only available to the real awareness, but comprehensible to it also, and where the personal self alone, when confronted with the other dimensional occurrences and situations, would only have its current lifetime of memory files and references to draw upon, to attempt to ascertain as to what's taking place. And very often much of what we do on the real side will involve our engaging and interacting with the body types and creational positions far removed from those our current physical level, earth-bound human lifetime memory body has filed as experiences. And on occasion, during the real side experiences, as I am operating from the real awareness standing and creational oversight position, so what is transpiring at the time of the experiences will make perfect sense. But on awaking, so is the task of not only recollecting the experiences, but on being able to literally describe them with the references we have available with our current lifetime memory bodies. This real side experience would comprise of a series of stages or steps leading to a certain culmination, and in actuality the process from inception to fruition had begun many years ago, even prior to my beginning my awareness process, around the age of 10 or so, by the estimation of my human body form as it featured where this experience began. That even back then, unbeknownst to my personal self, were certain ideas already being set in motion, as though the preparation for the current moment would take in actuality the years it would, and perhaps even lifetimes, as we each prepare for the moment when at a certain lifetime we will step into a purpose that makes sense with life, and including the real purpose, the real intent of is recognition. The best I could visually describe as to what took place in my early informative years would be as though transitioning through a kind of technological sequence or grid, as though a test of a kind, that were an intent, though one not consciously realized by my personal self at the time, not maintained other dimensionally, I would not complete what was as though the first phase of a series of steps that spanned from the age of 10 to the current moment. If there were other stages involved between then and now, wasn't made apparent, as my view would now be of the current moment. Every idea Every lifetime and age the body form is within each lifetime is present in the nowness of the isness reality, but the consciousness mechanics afford us the affected illusion of time and space, of that which we have experienced, considered the past, and that which is yet to be affected, the future. But in reality, what is the present in creational terms are the agreements being held to most prominently that position our view at a particular part of a certain lifetime where we are a certain age. And really then, as we set intent with the ears, we are reordering all assimilation that rolls out to this intent. For if everything is itself in the nowness of every moment, then every intent is complete, and the simulation that rolled out to what is an already completed intent also is present. And it's just a case then of where our view is placed along the already completed process to the actualizing of the intent that already is in effect. Assuming we hold to that intent, or we may effect another reordering of simulation as though we had exchanged one movie, completed and contained on the disk, for another. And so, an intent set perhaps even lifetimes ago would effect this reconstituting of a simulation, including this sequencing through a curious technology of visual around the age of 10 to the current moment, where now, as best as I could visually describe it, I would be in a kind of a translucent, living, perhaps nanotech liquid within a large mechanical container. Present also would be another individual on their own respective awareness process, and we were as though reformatting the overall technology we were engaging with, which presented as our formulating a sequence of glowing orbs that we would be attached to and be circulating around the mechanical container with. My impressions were that we were interfacing with advanced technology of a kind, and although others were watching, we had an audience for our activities. It was as though they had the opportunity to be part of this project the other and myself in the container were involved with, but chose not to. For indeed, a number of them would just watch. Several of them would be stationed in the audience, but have their backs turned, revealing a lack of a focus with what we were doing, and a number of them even would walk away from the scene. The overall sense was that this was an assignment that was life and awareness beneficial, with Earth and humanity consequences and simulator ramifications. But as DUANE has often mentioned, we can have the process of awareness as represented by a football game on a pitch, but where many beings, although aware of what's taking place, will not step onto the pitch and participate. They will remain watching from the stalls. And this was a similar situation here, an opportunity to step up and further earn one's way, but not all were willing to do so, and indeed chose instead to remain passive. And then another stage would become so, comprising of but impressions, but a part of this sequence of events set in motion from idea intentionality whenever in the past so-called it was formulated, the sense of as though progression, and the only visual I would receive would be the number 32. Interestingly, this number has featured in another real-side experience recently in a conjunction with the number 31, where I was on a dark force infiltration assignment. There would be another scene where, accompanied by the individual who had been present as we interfaced with the technology in the glowing liquid nano medium, we now were navigating through a vast system of caves. We were dressed in what appeared to be superhero-style outfits, including the capes that seemed favoured by the superheroes as depicted through the movies, etc. And as we proceeded, we had to overcome obstacles and obstructions, mostly environmental, huge boulders barring our path that we had to shift, for example. This seemed to represent agreement we were securing, for oftentimes in my real-side experiences, as we seek to glean agreement from other body forms, this presents as an overcoming of obstruction in whatever form this might take. That as we are able to proceed despite this indicates we are gradually securing the agreement we seek, and were we to be stopped in our tracks, then this represents agreement being denied, etc. And as we forged ahead, clambering over and up rock-strewn paths, smashing through obstructing rock walls and boulders, present throughout the caves also were a large number of what appeared to be humans who had been trapped in the caves. But as we made the blocked paths now accessible, so they all would accompany us as we proceeded ever onwards. Whatever agreement we were securing was also liberating what impressions suggested was the entire human race. As though where the intent lay previously with that which we were bringing around to what we were instead now proposing had maintained humanity, or at least assisted in doing so, in a state of control lockdown, a control now being lessened and released, as humanity now were able to proceed with us through the obstruction-free caves. And in a scene that followed, I would be in a communication through a Skype-like setup with a number of very key females in regards to their influence pertaining to the Earth inbound beneficial, stepping up alien armada that is a constant with the real side experiences of late. For indeed, the Armada, representing an arranged and agreed to part of humanity's wake-up, and indeed acceptance, into a kind of confederation of stepping up alien body forms of various types and descriptions, is rather a delicate affair. There is much to be organised, managed, agreements to secure, and indeed maintain, with all the dark force elements and variables coming into play every step of the process. And certain beings too, some former dark force characters, others in positions of power and influence, have key parts and roles to play in the delivery of this alien armada and its intended beneficial impact, and either are being encouraged to step up at certain stages, or are doing so of their own accord. For as this proceeds, so many beings garner the confidence to play their part, as it were, and whoever this group of females were, they were essential key components in the overall mix that would ensure the alien armada does make itself known globally to all of humanity. They were a little reluctant, and so necessary was it for me to afford them encouragement that they would indeed play their parts. impressions revealed they were to assume a certain positioning in multi-dimensional creation, as though by virtue of their sheer presence at these locations, these would facilitate the Armada's continuous progress to the Earth. The specifics were difficult to literally convey, but these women seemed to represent particular frequency signatures that were essential, and that had to be present at certain other dimensional positions along the route the Armada would be taking, and if absent, the Armada could either not proceed or be in some way delayed, and timing, it seemed, was everything, what with all the factors coming into play, those waiting to step up at certain moments, who may perhaps lose confidence if such delays were to take place. And indeed then, the entire experience of sequences of events involving interfacing with advanced technology expressed in various ways and progressive stages also was an essential part and in a connection with the ability of the Armada to successfully reach the Earth. For as I said, I was seemingly assisting in paving the way even from my early years, the age of 10, as I previously said, and interestingly, I always have had real side experiences as long back as I can remember of the alien Armada, as it always would present in the same way, of the skies above my house and street in the UK, filled with an assortment of various alien craft, an event that seemingly has been in the making and planned for who knows how many decades or centuries, and now coming to fruition as all agreements are formulated with all participants involved, be it the dark forces or the dark forces that are stepping up, the key influential beings, the humans and the aliens of the Armada. And in a final scene would I find myself approaching another cave entrance, the ground leading up to it containing glowing green sequences of what appeared to be coding of some kind, as though a further indication of the interfacing with certain technologies that were essential for this alien Armada scenario to play out successfully. As I entered the cave, present within would be a number of individuals that impressions revealed were others on their awareness processes, those that had become involved with this particular project and assignment. My personal self would recognize but one of them, and that would be Jeremy, and myself and all gathered now in the cave entrance were awaiting as though further stages to unfold as agreement permits, impressions suggesting we would be granted entry into this cave shortly and would continue then to ensure our technology dealings and the alien Armada event remain on a track, serving ultimately as a beneficial life and awareness speaking for all.